There's so much wrong with the word, bro. There's so much wrong with the word. You got to pay taxes. You got to go to work. You got to sit in traffic. It's hot as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Cost of living is going up and all of this shit. Like, they're shooting people.
Yeah.
There's all kind of, we got COVID. We got monkeypox. We don't know what the fuck is coming next. You know what I'm saying? There's so much hurt built up. And you want me to dumb myself down for who?
Right. I'm
Like,
dealing with enough. Yeah.
in my Nigerian accent, are you okay? Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode on Let's Talk About Us with Uche. I am your host, Uche. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting since day one. If you are listening to my podcast for the very first time, please make sure to subscribe, share with your friends and family. If you are watching on YouTube for the first time, also make sure to subscribe, share with your friends and family, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and please do not forget to hit that bell notification so anytime I upload a video, you'll be the very first to be notified. Thank you, and welcome to the Uche family. So today I am here with my friend again, Jon. Jon was kind enough to shoot the very first, his very first episode with me a couple of weeks ago. We talked about African spirituality, and thank you so much for joining back again, Jon. You are one of my people.
Thank you for having me again. Oh, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. Thank you for having me again, of course.
Thank you for being here. You want to give a quick reintroduction for people who don't know you?
Yes, my name is Jonathan. I am, again, from Houston, Texas, 29 years old, and I cannot say that I, again, am very humbled for you asking me to be here on your podcast and on your YouTube channel, on your show. And yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you. Welcome back. So, Jon.
Yes.
We're going to talk about some things today, okay? we got to talk about it, Chad. Somebody has to, because, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of mess out here. And I'm not even trying to be messy or petty or, you know what I'm saying? But we need to talk about the Lgbtq community, okay? The reason why I talk about this is because as queer people, a lot of us don't know how to be queer. We don't know how to fit into the world. A lot of us grew up in households where we were rejected, shunned. A lot of times everyone, for the most part, has heard you will go to hell. There's some type of damnation, demonic possession, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always that narrative that's been spun. Right. A lot of us don't feel like we can be ourselves 100%, even within black spaces. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be black, but you can't be gay, you can't be bisexual, you can't be anything other than that heteronormative macho man, or else you'd be ostracized. So a lot of us grew up in the closet, hiding from who we are and things like that, right? And as a result, and also a lot of us don't have that advocacy. We don't have how to be. There's no role models. There's a whole lot of positive role models that is diverse as the heterosexuals have. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, a lot of us grow up watching some of the mainstream media, try to emulate the lifestyles, and a lot of times it's in showbiz. And there's nothing wrong with showbiz. I know you're in fashion, but the reality is that that's not everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, a gay or lesbian or bisexual young person may not be able to relate to the Billy Porters,
of course,
or the guy from How I Met Your Mother.
I know you're talking about
Patrick something.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We can't all relate to that.
Right.
And I know straight people, they have their versions of Neil Patrick, I think that's his name.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Right. They have their own version, but then with the straight people, they have diversity. There's a whole lot of diversity, options of who to choose. So as a result, a lot of us, we don't know who we are because we've never been given the opportunity to love ourselves. There's never been that push for you to accept yourself fully. It's always, you can be this and that, accept this. There's always some type of exception. So a lot of us, we struggle with that. And then we walk into the world struggling to find our identity, struggling to find our families, our chosen families, and and as a result, it's just a mess, in my opinion anyway. I see a whole lot of mess. And I've traveled the world, you know what I'm saying? I've traveled the world in places in Africa, places in Europe. It's worse in Africa, child. Places in Africa, that's a whole nother conversation. Places in Europe, places in Asia, you know, the Australias, and it's always the same repetition of they're not knowing who we are. There's a sense of collective emptiness and collective pain
Right.
that we all have, right? And we perpetuate some of those pains, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. And that's why I want to talk about this, to unpack why is that.
Gotcha.
So what do you think?
I honestly just, I guess, kind of starting with the subject of representation.
Okay.
I think that that's why we as queer identifying people have been fighting for representation so hard over the past, I don't know how many decades. It feels like it's been a it feels like it's been more, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like it's been like a harder fought battle for the past, I don't know, I'd say maybe 10 years, or maybe that's just when it's really come into my awareness as somebody who's just kind of stepping into themselves as an adult. But it does feel like over the past couple of, I'd say maybe 10 or 15 years, the fight for representation has kind of grown because obviously we're tired of being seen as, demonic, or we're tired of being seen as, pedophiles, which is weird. We're just tired of being seen as some type of, weird sideshow that you can, like, we're tired of being seen also as an accessory, because it's okay to be gay if you can be an accessory to someone who is obviously straight, typically a cis hetero woman. In those instances, it's okay when you can be used for entertainment, or when you can be used as somebody to help your girlfriend pick out an outfit, your straight girlfriend, I guess you'd say, pick out an outfit. When you can be, used as a tool, then it's okay for you to be that person. But when it comes to your existence actually being made at just as valid, I'd say, as a straight person's, or as someone who identifies as, cis heterosexual, then all of a sudden your existence becomes an issue. And I just feel like the fight for representation has kind of worked to shift that a bit more, because obviously we're saying, like, okay, we're not pedophiles, we're not weirdos, we're not, we're not these individuals that y'all are trying to, like, make seem as though we are these, like, I don't know, these weird blights of life or, like, existence. Like, we're whole human beings. Our existences and our way of life, quote unquote, are just as valid as y'all's. But also, we've been around, like, people have been gay for just as long as people have been straight. People have been bisexual for just as long as people have been straight. Like, this isn't really something that's new. But the idea that for some reason we have to be kind of shunned, and we have to be, I don't know, made to kind of, like, be put on the back burner, or we just have to be silenced in general. Like, historically, I'm not really sure, like, where that began, but the reason for it beginning also just seems a bit, like, I feel like if we could get to the root of where it started and why it started, then maybe we can work from there to kind of work outwardly toward actually, I don't know, maybe resolving whatever that issue was. But sorry, going back to, like, the idea of representation, I feel like if you see yourself and you see your existence made valid, even if it's just through something like mainstream television or movies that you watch or books that you read or, like, magazine articles that you read and things like that, like, that all plays a huge hand. I know specifically me, a lot of what I did not get from my home life and what I didn't get from, like, my mother and growing up, my family in general, I got from the media. I got from the artists that I listened to, or the actors that I watched on television and in movies. And a lot of that played a huge role in who I kind of developed into as a person, but also how I saw the world as well. And all of those depictions basically brought me to the same idea, which was that this was something that I needed to suppress my entire life. until it just got to a point where like I kind of had to say, okay, so you need to make the decision now whether or not you want to live wholeheartedly as who you are, or if you want to continue like essentially living for the outside world and living for everybody else around you. And that's not fair to me because the only person that came into this world was me. And at the end of the day, when all of these other people that I'm trying to impress and all these other people that I'm trying to live for drop dead, it's just going to be me. And so, like, the ways that I see that represented in media and in just spaces outside of my home life played a huge role in me suppressing that. And it also played a role in me finally living and existing in that truth wholeheartedly. So I just feel like if the representation was a lot better, and we are starting to get to a point where it is, you know, we do have different television shows, not to just speak on like media, but we do have different television shows and we do have, you know, actual magazines that are geared more toward like queer centric and queer identifying people. You do have a lot of mainstream artists, mainstream executives, like you have people that are in these industries that are saying, hey, I'm here. This is me. I identify with you and your past, or I identify with you and your story. Here's mine, and here's like, I'm here to be like the poster child, I guess you'd say, for what you can be. But unfortunately, a lot of those people are also white.
I was just about to mention that. I feel like, yes, I've seen the Anderson Coopers and the football dude. There's a whole Netflix series about him.
Yeah.
Oh, chat. Should I get my teacup?
No.
But no, I've seen, yes, it's true. There's a lot of white LGBTQ representation, which I'm not quite sure. I could definitely, I'm not quite sure why, but I could definitely have my own guesses as to why. You know, I think it has to do with white people's mentality. I feel like a lot of their mentality is live and let live.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
They may still judge you quietly,
Yeah.
but they're not overt with their discrimination.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not white,
Same.
but this is what, right. But this is what I would think is a situation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because I'm usually seen to get a lot more reception from white folks. Let's talk about black homophobia. Why is that though? Because I've noticed this. I've always thought it's so strange when a straight man, or a straight man check. These days you just don't know. Okay, let's just keep it real.
Most of them ain't straight. To be
Yeah,
very honest
that's
with
a whole
you.
nother conversation.
You're right.
That's a whole different series of episodes.
So sorry.
But I've always found it so strange when a man who considers himself straight is so bothered by somebody else's sexuality to the point that you would just be so explicit with it, like vulgar
And violent a lot of
violent.
times.
Sometimes, like beat somebody just because of their sexuality. To me, it doesn't make any sense
It's very
because it has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, for example, not to shit on anyone. I'm not lesbian. I don't watch lesbian porn. I couldn't care less. And this is no disrespect to lesbians whatsoever. If I see two lesbians, okay, cool. They're doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Has nothing to do with me. I'm not part of that party.
Correct. Right.
Do you understand how stupid it would look for me to go out of my way to try to beat a lesbian or,
Or tell them that they just haven't had the right dick.
I'm just saying, like, be overt with it, like very intentionally vulgar and intentionally violent.
Yeah.
To me, that just tells me it's something in the milk ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I've seen that behavior. Maybe I just haven't met a lot of non-blacks, but I've noticed within the black community, there's a lot more aggression, like intentional aggression towards LGBTQ. And I'm sure you've gotten your hair cut at a barbershop or something like that.
That's why I'm bald now.
Sir.
Just doing myself, save myself $35 to $50 and a bunch of homophobia. Yes.
Sir, I'm getting there, Chad. Okay. Lord have mercy. Please, God.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, it's always, I've noticed that barbershops that I've been in here in Houston, in LA, New York, there's always that overt sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay for you to admit that, yeah, sure, you're not with the gays, you don't understand, it's not your thing, not a problem, move on, not a problem. But the fact that you claim to not like it, but that you proceed to have a conversation about gay conversation for the next 1 hour.
Yes.
Like, is it that deep?
Yes.
Imagine if the same energy was returned with race replaced with sexuality. You wouldn't like it.
Right.
Imagine a white person who doesn't like black people, but doesn't keep it to themselves, but they go all the way out to demean black people and curse them out and call them all kinds of N-words and things like that. You wouldn't be here for it.
Right.
So why would you do it to somebody else?
Right.
And that's the irony that gets to me, the fact that a group of minorities themselves would discriminate against another group of minority, even more so that group of minority within that same group of minority, because I feel like black LGBTQ people, especially black trans people, are the least protected in America or in the world, actually. I'd argue that.
1,000%.
You would think that, all these minorities would stick together and, because at the end of the day, white supremacy is the enemy.
Right.
Let's dismantle white supremacy because that's what's holding all of us down. Why do you think that is?
Let me just say, I know, and I don't know all of the facts surrounding this, but like from a historical standpoint, I read this a very long time ago, so forgive me if it doesn't sound completely coherent, but at one point in the black household, if you did not have a black man there, then your household was not considered a full household and you could not get benefits for your household in order to be able to feed your children. And so a lot of that has to do, honestly, a lot of it is just ingrained in our DNA. It's ingrained in the trauma that we unfortunately have experienced. And so because of white supremacy, to be honest, let's start with that. That's one aspect of it, I should say. And what I have seen and in what I've researched and what I've read and the different, think pieces and essays and things that I've read and speakers that you listen, speakers that talk about these things and thought leaders and everything. Homophobia seems to me like it is a very westernized thing. And again, I'm not as well traveled as most people, and I cannot speak to every single country. But as far as homophobia here in America, feels very westernized. It feels like it is a white supremacist ideology, and I feel like when you couple that with all the other things that white supremacy has done to us as Black Americans, or just Black people here in America, not even specifically Black Americans, niggas in America in general. When you think about all of the shit all the things that we have experienced, it doesn't surprise me that homophobia is as pervasive within our community as it is, because it continues to flow literally through our veins. It continues. It's something that we continue to experience because it's ingrained in one of the many traumas that we've experienced.
Is it because, would you say it's because the Black man has been threatened here in America? So our masculinity has been questioned and threatened, especially considering slavery. There was a time that a Black man was not considered human. You're considered property.
Farming Black people at one point.
Exactly.
Black men.
With a paper bag covering your face, and so you can breed and multiply, so they can sell and things like that. So would you say that's part of a trauma that has
definitely
brought Black men to nothing, reduced Black men to nothing? So historically, it's been ingrained in us that we are nothing, so we're desperately trying to prove that we are something. So when we see something that does not align with what we know as masculine, or at least we're trying to attain as masculine, we look down on it. And not just look down on it, it's almost cultural for you to not just look down on it, but let the whole world know that I'm fucking disgusted by this shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that extra to prove that you're a real nigga.
Yeah.
You know? I know it sounds funny, but it's also ridiculous.
Like I said, historically, if your household did not have a Black man in it, and there was no masculine figure in your household, then again, it wasn't considered a full household. You could not get benefits. You could not feed your children. And again, that's just one of the ways that white supremacy has continuously has perpetuated this idea that Black households Black men essentially have to be the dominant and more masculine and more, I don't want to say aggressive, but I mean, you have to kind of insert that word into it too. You have to be present in your household, because if there is no black man there, then there is no household. And essentially, you are not going to be able to survive without that masculine authoritative figure there. And so, but that doesn't necessarily mean also that like having a homosexual person in your household means that it is any less of a household than anyone else's. But also, I don't know why homosexuality and masculinity and femininity, like why they have to kind of be included in the same conversation. Just because like I'm a homosexual, but I'm a fairly masculine presenting human being. Whether you're masculine,
which shouldn't matter really.
Exactly. So like my masculinity has nothing to do with who I am or am not having sex with. Same with, you know, the way that if I carry myself in a more effeminate way, that should not have anything to do with who I am or am not, you know, going home to at night. Because I am still a human being, still doing what I need to do, still a tax-paying citizen, if you want to say that, but I'm still a human being who is carrying a household, whether it be my own household or a 3 or 4 person household. Like I am still a human being that is still doing what I need to do to make sure that I am good, those that I may or may not take care of are good, and that we as a people are continuing to thrive where we are. I don't understand really the need to be homophobic as black people, just because we already have so much working against us. Like you said, a lot of those people that do consider themselves to be straight or identify as straight, I mean, honestly, a lot of times when you get those people in a room and it's just you and them,
they be the freakiest people. Child, they be more down than you. They teach you tricks.
And like,
like what?
Like, whoa.
When did you learn that? Okay.
And not even to bring it back to like the sexual aspect, but it's just, it's so stifling to exist in a way that has to be so straight edge. Because like
I think the issue is ego. I think that's what it is, because the same person that's trying to let you know that you cannot be yourself wouldn't want that to be done to them. So
Correct.
Why would you? Because like when I think about freedom, I think about freedom in the sense of being able to be yourself no matter what.
Correct.
Unfiltered, just be yourself. Like you're not hurting anybody.
Right.
You're not hurting yourself. You're not doing anything unethical, illegal, whatever it is. Just be yourself 100%. You know, as long as there's a way and path for you within the society that is created for you. And if you're not able to do that, I just cannot imagine a life where I cannot be myself.
Right.
You know. So now imagine myself, right, who was saying that I want to be able to, you know, attain that freedom. I want to be able to exercise my power, my privilege, do as I please, just be myself. You understand?
Right.
But then at the same time too, I'm trying to make sure that you don't.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense, because I'm trying to say that I deserve that freedom more than you do. But guess what? Somebody else is saying the exact same thing. Well, yeah, I may think I deserve the freedom more than you, right? But as a black man, somebody else is saying, well, as a black man, you don't deserve that. They deserve it more. And if somebody else is looking at that person, that may be a white person, right? And be like, okay, well, you may be a white man, but you're not as rich as me. So you don't, you know, there's always that pursuit of I'm better than you.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
What is it that we need to do in order for us to change this narrative? Because obviously the way things are isn't right.
I honestly want people to, well, I feel like the only way to like kind of dismantle homophobia within like the black community is for us as black people to understand the history of it, where it comes from, kind of where it started, and understand that that isn't necessarily our history. And that it's, again, the ideology of the very person that forced us to come here and kind of has kept us. It's essentially, it's another way of, I'd say, like mental enslavement. Like, I don't want to walk around thinking the same way as the person that is trying to suppress me and has suppressed me for so long. I feel like once we understand the history of it, then maybe that'll help us to dismantle that part of it. And then we also have to understand and unlearn a lot of the things that we have kind of taught our children, the things that our grandparents taught us, and our ideas surrounding homosexual people, or not even homosexual people, just queer people in general. Because what a lot of people don't tend to not realize is like queer people honestly have had a lot of hand in the way that the world is at the moment. And I mean, like, in terms of the media that we consume, the way that we walk around dressed, the way that we talk, the way that we walk, the language that we use whenever we're speaking, how we address our friends. There's a lot of queer people have had a hand in, honestly, the way that society is queer now. Influence. Some of influence, that's the word that I'm looking for. Thank you. Our influence stretches a lot further than they may realize, and I don't want to say they as into like other them, but I mean, we've been other for this long, so why not? But the amount of influence that we have had as people, as a community of people, I don't think they realize. And so maybe once they start to realize that also, that will help them to hopefully like learn to respect. I don't even just want to say accept, because like acceptance is a bunch of bullshit to me. Okay. Like, I want you to learn to respect and understand who I am, what my influence has been, and how I show up for you, essentially, and how you could learn to show up for me. Because to be very honest, like one of the best people in the world that I have ever met is a trans woman. Shout out to Cece. She is one of literally the most nurturing people that I have ever met in my life. And I've also known her since she started her transition, and I have seen the way that the world has kind of responded to her, and I've seen also how she essentially responds to the world as well. And the amount of respect that I have developed for her over the years, and seeing how she continues to show up fully as herself and not let, the world tear her down, but also not let the world convince her that she is not on the path to becoming the best person that she is, and that she cannot continue to live her entire truth. It takes a level of strength that a lot of people don't have, to be very honest, but that a lot of people could learn to have, and also learn to respect as well. But also, queer people, Black homosexuals, like, we show up for all of us. We don't just show up for a specific group of us. We don't just show up for ourselves. We literally show up for us as an entirety. And I know that some people, say, like, before I'm Black, I'm gay, or before I'm gay, I'm Black, and like this, that, and the other. Like, I don't have a dog in that fight. I can't speak to how anyone shows up first or second or at the same time. But when it comes to how Black cis hetero people, or just Black heterosexuals in general, can show up for their queer identifying counterparts or people that they may know, honestly, show up, have a conversation with them, and understand that, like, this is what their identity has been, how their identity has affected how they've not just interacted with the world, but also how they've interacted with you. Because I can guarantee, me as a homosexual person, I have walked into a room with my family, with other people, and changed the way that I've interacted with them, because of the fact that I don't want to make them uncomfortable, because I don't want to make them feel like I need to be, I need to be, talked to about, being gay, or that the gay needs to be prayed away, because that will never happen.
Okay. Keep praying, Chad. I see you on Grindr.
Hello.
Okay. With the nudes. You know, Chad.
Like, but I think that there needs to be an understanding of how we've been ostracized, and how there's been a lack of empathy for our existence. And then once there's an understanding of that, learning from that and learning to turn that around, and essentially that can be us dismantling that part of what has been so ingrained in us. The rest of it, to be very honest, like has to happen with white people also. Like their hand in a lot of this, only they can rework, only they can undo.
Really? How so?
I feel like when it comes to white supremacy and everything that kind of has fallen from that, everything that's trickled down from that, white people are the ones that essentially have been invented all the things that made white supremacy what it is, and they're the ones that have to work to dismantle it.
I see. Focus on a particular narrative as opposed to, okay, I see it.
And because there's only so much that we can do. There's only so much that we can do as a community of people. There's still a lot of work that we have to do within ourselves, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
And there's a lot of work that's still being done, that is being done. But there's still so much more that still needs to happen because
one thing I would say is to anyone, and I always tell this to myself every day, like I have to remind myself this: put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I don't think, and that's empathy, emotional intelligence, EQ. I don't think that is pushed enough in our society.
Right.
It's all narcissism. You know, you got to be the best, the brightest. You know, you just got to stand out, the baddest bitch of them all. You know, which is sad because to me it screams emptiness, emptiness in spirit, scarcity. I forgot what Dr. Renee Brown, how she worded it, scarcity and something. I forgot what it is. But it's so sad. There's no empathy. There's no emotional intelligence. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And also, I feel like we're so wrapped up by these identities that we forget the bigger picture of a human being. Yes, I'm a black man, but I'm not just a black man. I'm an individual, you know, occupying space and time. You understand? Like, especially if you believe in God, because God makes no mistake. There's a reason why I exist in the form I exist in. There's a reason why you exist in the form you exist in. And then you walk in and then you try to just dismiss me just because of my skin color, because of my sexual orientation, because of where I was born, because I'm Nigerian, because I'm not tall enough, because I'm not good looking enough, whatever the reason is. To me, that speaks so mediocre and so low vibrational. I could understand if somebody is pissing you off based on something, maybe like a particular something about their character you don't like. I get it. Sure, dude, get the fuck away from me. You know, I get it. I can totally understand. I can respect that. But for the fact that you don't like someone simply because of something about them that they cannot choose, you understand? I know a lot of people who are not well educated think that gay is something that you choose. I remember, Chad, back in Cali a few years ago, this particular lady, I forgot where she's from, she from Honduras or something, and we were taking class together in Long Beach City, and she said, well, this gay thing is so new now. Like,
it's so new.
She got the little accent, it cracked me up. She's like, it's so new now. Everybody wants to be gay. I'm like, child, only if you know.
Stop it.
There's nothing new here.
Yeah, people think it's trendy.
It's trendy now. What? No, sir. It's been in service. It's just people getting more balls to come out, okay? Because we're sick and tired of this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because imagine, no, seriously, dude, there's so much wrong with the word, bro. There's so much wrong with the world. You got to pay taxes. You got to go to work. You got to sit in traffic. It's hot as hell. You know what I'm saying? Cost of living is going up and all of this shit. Like, you know, they're shooting people. There's all kinds of, we got COVID. We got monkeypox. We don't know what the fuck is coming next. You know what I'm saying? There's so much hurt built up. And you want me to dumb myself down for who?
Right. I'm
like,
with enough.
In my Nigerian accent, are you okay? No, seriously. Is something wrong with you? Like, you know, like, bro, I feel like I'm going to make an actual podcast episode to unpack a lot of where my confidence comes from. Because I've met people, especially Nigerians, like, they some of them, they think I'm weird. I don't give a shit. I've graduated from that nonsense, you know what I'm saying? But I stand out to a lot of people, and they don't understand why. It's like, because if you knew the fucking mountains I've climbed and the fucking oceans I've crossed, you would understand. because my cross was heavy, and can no bitch tell me otherwise.
Listen.
Okay, so it's like a lot more people are waking up from this slumber, and I've read about this in books as well. How a lot more people are going to wake up because the pain is so
Immense.
profound. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, am I going to keep lying to myself? Absolutely fucking not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is part of the beauties of, and I'm not trying to throw shade to anyone who does not live in America or in the Western world, but this is part of the beauty of living in the Western world, like the U.S., where you can be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, who gonna check me? The reason why I was talking about that is because we need to incorporate heart in everything we do. Emotional intelligence. Put yourself in somebody's shoes. Don't just dismiss somebody just because there's something about them that you don't understand. Yes, if there's something about them that doesn't sit well with your spirit, love them from afar, or at least be neutral. And again, I'm going to also make another episode to talk about the power of being neutral. Okay, I'm usually mostly neutral with most people, unless you are just, there's something perverse about your presence in my life, then I'll cut you off.
Right.
But with most people, I'm neutral because you never know tomorrow. You just don't know. I just find it very difficult to just completely eradicate somebody from my life just because of one thing. It doesn't sit well with my spirit, but that's just me. So put yourself in somebody's shoes. When you see somebody who's off to you, why are they off? You know, feel some heart. If you were in a situation where you are discriminated against, looked down upon, would you like someone to do that, to deny you of opportunities, look down on you, you know, overlook you, you know, things like that? You wouldn't like it. So put yourself in somebody else's position. That is emotional intelligence, and I feel like we don't have a lot of that incorporated into our society or educational systems. Maybe so, you know. But I don't remember taking any classes in high school, college, in my grad schools, you know, on emotional intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in a sociology class, which is like a very specific major. Yeah. But the general electives, I don't remember learning emotional intelligence, the importance to put yourself in somebody's shoes. Right. You know, because that could foster learning. You can, there's so much healing that we could do together collectively, you know, even past homophobia, you know, like as a people, you realize that we're actually one. This is my spirituality speaking right now. Like, I feel like we're all the spirit of God manifested in different forms necessarily. The reason why you look the way you look is because it's necessary for you to exist in this form, and vice versa. And the sooner we're literally the exact same. We're born necessarily in our own. It's impossible for you to not exist, right? And the sooner we realize that together that we are one and we're stronger together, the better for the world, right? Gotcha. As opposed to this whole divide and conquer mentality, which is really killing us because ego is the problem. You know, ego is sitting in the center. So we do need to communicate more. You know what I'm saying? Even me as a queer person. And another thing too, when I talk about queer, I feel like a lot of people don't understand the whole queerness. Queer is not just gay. It's not just bisexual. It's not just homosexual, whatever. My definition of queer is anyone that does not conform to heteronormativity, cis heteronormativity. Exactly. And by cis heteronormativity, I mean a cisgendered man who only dates cisgendered women and vice versa. That's it. As in cis, meaning that you identify with the gender that you were born with. You understand? So anything else outside of that will be queer. And I believe that the actual cisgendered people are the minorities, in my opinion. It's just that because of this heteronormative society we live in, there's a lot of hush-hush. You know what I'm saying? But if you know, you know. Okay? Underneath all that hush-hush is loud. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we need to incentivize more discussion, more honest conversations, you know, to educate people. Again, like I said, within the LGBTQ community, there's so much that I don't even know shit about. Like, you know the show Pose? I remember watching that show with one of my friends, and it just opened my eyes. Like, holy shit. I know Netflix was suggesting the show for such a long time, but I never really, you know, like I just saw like trailers of drag queens and, you know, dressed in dresses and things like that. It's not really my thing. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. You know what I'm saying? But when I eventually watched it, I was genuinely glad that I did. Bro, I learned so much about the queer struggles before what we have now, the ballroom culture, you know, what it meant to be black and gay. Shit, there's levels to this gay shit, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially back then,
It
and seeing
is,
these
yeah.
people being able to maneuver through, the AIDS pandemic, and then how the lesbian women marched for their rights and things like that, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I learned about trans people. I learned about is it like the people post-op or pre-op? I learned about all of that. I learned about the heterosexual men who are attracted to transgendered women. I learned about that struggle as well. It blew my mind.
Right.
Imagine a person like me who was within that community, learning and just being so enlightened.
Yeah.
Imagine how much more enlightenment could come if the general public was to actually intentionally learn. It may not. You may think it's not your problem. It's not your cup of tea. But imagine you as a minority yourself, maybe like a black person. Imagine white people be like, "That's black people.
Not my problem.
It's not my problem." Black lives matter. Who gives a shit?
Like you said,
them niggas.
Like you said, it's the lack of empathy. It's the very "that's not my problem" mentality.
Yes.
And so that is what continues to keep us in that same spot. Yeah.
It is so sad. It's very unfortunate. But now let's talk about within the LGBTQ community itself, sir. We need to talk about that. Yes, it is very true that the heteronormative, general society needs to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Need to be more willing to have these conversations. We need to embody more emotional intelligence. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and things like that. Learn about somebody else. Hell, I'm even practicing that in my own. Like, even as a black man, I try to understand other cultures. I've spoken to Asians, white folks, Hispanics, and things like that. I find that very fascinating. It's one of the reasons why I travel, right? So I'm actually embodying what I preach, right? But within our community, within the LGBTQ community, what are we doing? Maybe I'm, what I'm saying? Maybe I'm confused. But I don't see a whole lot. Maybe it's just me, okay? And if you guys disagree, please share your comments down below. Yes, I know that there are certain people who are possibly being intentional to, drive change, but I feel like those people are in the minorities. Okay. The vast majority is a mess. So what are we doing within our community, and what can we do within our community? And the reason why I ask this is living in a big city like LA, New York, Houston, Chicago, there are little pockets of communities, I call it communities, which I have ventured into. But I usually see, and please correct me if you're wrong, but I usually see the bickering, the gossiping, everyone's fucking everyone, everyone's who you fucking type of situation. It's very seldom. Maybe I haven't looked in the right place. Very rare for me to actually find like a nurture, like genuinely nurturing.
Gotcha.
Like a group that I'm like, holy shit, I like these people. Like on a deeper level.
Gotcha.
I could actually take PTO off, like take time off from work and from whatever to be with these people. Like someone I can genuinely call on the phone, like when I'm down, when I'm crying, like, hey, bro, I'm going through this and that, breakup, this and that. And now wake up in the morning and see my fucking news on CNN. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I get.
Gotcha.
Maybe this is just me. Confused, and please don't judge me too harshly, child. I'm not trying to get canceled before I even get started. This is just, I'm trying to understand this because this is a conversation that we need to have. I feel like there's no sense of deep connection within the LGBTQ community. What can we do to change that? And if you disagree, please let me know.
Of course. I don't know that there is just us kind of, I don't really see, like, I know that we're like known. If you look on Twitter or anything like that, or if you watch the Zeus Network, you'll see
Twitter chat.
all you see is a bunch of gays like fighting or arguing or beefing with one another. What's that app called? Big O or something like that, where like everybody's like always arguing back and forth and this, that, and the other. And I feel like that is probably what gets amplified more than the actual positive, not even positive, just positive, platonic, non-violent images or depictions of us as a people that are definitely like there. It's just that, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't, again, get amplified as much as it should. But I don't, it almost feels as though like everyone outside of us and some of us within our community kind of feel as though we are playing into stereotypes that are specific to just us. And I feel like that's not the case, because I do feel like a lot of cis hetero women are just as messy or just as catty. A lot of cis hetero men are just as messy and or just as catty.
Preach.
Like a lot of the archetypes that they feel that they can attach or that are attached to gay people or queer people, I think are just human like issues or human things. I feel like it's just another way that people can attach this, what's the word I'm looking for? I do this a lot. This negative connotation to us as a minority or us as a community of people. Now, when it comes to the idea that we are all just kind of, hypersexual and that we all are just trying to, have sex with one another, I do feel like that's something that kind of gets put on us a lot because the world is so obsessed with how we have sex, if that makes sense. I feel like when it comes to gay people, there's such a heavy, or not gay people, again, when it comes to queer people, there's such a heavy focus on the sexual aspect and the fact that we are either having sex with someone who is also the same sex as we are, or someone who has, had a gender confirmation surgery or something like that. Like, I don't necessarily feel like it's really just us actually being hypersexual. I feel like it's just us kind of enjoying the freedom that we essentially have.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, do we have that sense of community though? Like within our own community, are we doing anything other than perpetuating the problem, perpetuating the image that the heterosexual world is seeing us through, or are we doing something to actually? Because I know possibly, like individuals are there are pockets of individuals like myself who is being intentional to live exemplary, even though it's difficult because it's trial and error. You're basically walking in the dark because no one shows you the way on how to be. But within our community, do we have active, genuinely healthy connection, family that doesn't involve the parties and the getting high and and the drinking and drugs and everyone is fucking and things like that? Again, this is what I think I get to see a lot of. Maybe I get to see a lot of it because they're the brightest and the loudest. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I have just not gone to the zip code where people are more on the mellow side of things where I want to meet a group of brotherhood people, walk away and be like, hey, I like these people. Let me get your number. Like, seriously, not because I'm trying to fuck you, because I could care less. But when the lows get low, like, can I call you on the phone and, cry on your shoulder type of thing? Can you support me and I support you? Not financially, Chad, because, you know what I'm saying? No. But like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
Do we have that?
I do feel like we do. I would say I do feel like those types of interactions you have to kind of cultivate with people outright, like at the very beginning of your interaction with someone. Speaking strictly to, let's say you are looking to find that sense of brotherhood, that sense of family, or that familial tie to someone outside of your actual family, that is someone that can identify with you on a more personal level, in terms of like the fact that both of you all share this same like identity of queer or not straight, essentially. I do feel like those interactions and those ties to other people like that do exist. As far as how to initiate that or how to start that, I'm not gonna lie and say that I know, because I really don't, to be honest. And I will say that like I have friends that I am cool with now people that I do feel like I can talk to. One of my best friends isn't someone that like I've ever like slept with or thought about in that way, shape, or form at all. And so I just kind of want like that narrative of in order for you to be friends with someone who is also gay, or in order for you to like have someone that is gay in your life as strictly on a platonic level, it has to be someone that you've like already seen naked or or that you've slept with or something like that, because that's really truly not the case. You can find camaraderie in people that identify with you on that level. I feel like that shouldn't necessarily be the initial, I'd say, like intent whenever you are establishing a friendship with these people, though. Like, I mean, and if it is, and both of y'all are like fine with that, then that's completely fine, of course. But it should just be because we have similar maybe ideologies, we think similarly, or you are just a cool person that I would like to be able to get to know, again, on a platonic level. But I don't necessarily know like how
and then also build that relationship into something actually substantial as well.
Yes.
You know, because I may not have fucked, but at the same time too, like when I watch the dynamic of that relationship, it's like, okay, this is some struggle, low vibrational shit. Because no, seriously, I'm not trying to be
not just a Sunday fun day friend.
I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I'm a judge a little bit.
I know,
because I see a lot of that as well. Okay, now yes, I relate to a whole lot of the things that you've said. Me personally, I'm blessed, truly blessed to have those kind of people.
Of course,
like I truly like within the community. Like there's my people. You know what I'm saying? I could call them up and things like that. But that's because I have been intentional, and they've also been intentional. And time and things like that has passed and things like that, right? I'm talking about, are there people within the community that actually have something substantial that I feel like without the alcohol, without the party, without the loudness, because to me, I see those things as vices. And I'm not trying to sound like a hypocrite. I drink alcohol too. You know what I'm saying? Like I sip wine here and there. Not a problem. I'm not prude. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I know how to be versatile in senses of, I'm a human being. I like to have fun. Not a problem. But I feel like with certain people, it's just the same music, the same rhythm at all times. And when a vice is not there, the vice of alcohol, sex, drugs, partying, or just showing up, look at what I have that these bitches don't have type of situation, the relationship is basically water under the bridge. There's really nothing there. I'm interested to know if there are queer men and women, but specifically men, who have a real bona fide, genuine, substantial relationship. I would actually like to say that that's not very common, in my opinion. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just one person. You know what I'm saying? There's a possibility that there are people like that. If you're in the Houston area, please hit me up, because I would definitely like to interview you, Chad. Like, seriously, because I'm trying to figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? This is not. I know I probably sound judgmental or whatever, but that's not the point. I'm trying to understand. Because I'm a data processing type of person. And what I see is trust me, I've met so many different kinds of friend groups. And I just observe, and I'm like, okay.
I don't think that that's specific to like gays though. Like I feel like that's any friend group that you would find yourself in.
It's not just within the queer culture. It's straight people do it too. I've observed straight friends, like guys. It's just a bunch of dick competition, dick size competition contest. You know, who could be the biggest? Like, Chad, please, this is low vibrational. I've also seen women do that too. You know, like me and my girlfriend, we besties and things. It's just low vibrational. Yes, I know that. Yes, and I've talked about this in the past too. Like there's a lot of that. Emptiness of spirit around it. It has nothing to do with just queerness. But I'm talking about within the queer community itself. Just like I've talked about in previous episodes, what are we doing within the Black community to help our case? Because I can give you a list of things that I'm intentionally doing as an individual. You understand? Even though they may not be the best per se, but at least I'm being intentional to do something.
Right.
Hence why I'm trying to learn more ways to
Right.
up my games. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe there are new things that I can adopt into being a better person. But collectively, though, within the LGBTQ community, okay, Black community is a whole different conversation, a whole different episode.
Right.
But within the LGBTQ community, are there things that we could do or are doing? I know we have like centers, the testing centers and, counseling and things like that. And shout out to those people. But even with those people too, I feel like there's a lot of white representation and not a whole lot of focus within the Black. Of course. Now, I know Atlanta is like the gay mecca for Black people.
I've heard.
Sure. No shade. I heard a lot of things about Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta a couple of times, maybe like 3 times all of my life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But it's always, I'm usually either working or doing something, like it's always get out type of situation. So I don't know if there's a lot more opportunities for these kind of things.
Right.
In Atlanta.
Gotcha.
And if you do know, please share your thoughts below. I do want to understand because this is really obviously very personal, but also intentionally informative, educational, because you never know who may watch this. It could be a parent of a gay kid, like a family member of a gay kid. So you can also educate your child as well because we're trying to grow together.
Right.
So, but would you say that is...
I feel like it is a thing that exists here, in Houston specifically. Yes, I do feel like that is something that exists here. I do feel like it's just something that maybe you haven't seen or maybe you haven't experienced yet. But
no, I have. I've experienced in my own personal life. You understand? But I'm just saying.
Here in Houston.
Yeah, but I don't see that as a norm.
Gotcha.
Or maybe I'm just not going to the right places.
I don't know. Maybe it's just not the norm, period. Okay. I don't know if it's like a demographic type of thing or if it's like an age group type of thing, because that could also play a factor in it. Maybe it's just that it's, people that are 21 to, 29 or 30 that are like very me-oriented, very narcissistic, very still trying to figure things out. Maybe it's the group of gays that are from like 31 to 40 that have done that and are like, okay, me and my girls.
That's actually true.
Me and my girls. But like,
not the girls too.
like we've done that. We've done the baby gay thing. We've done what the kids, quote unquote, are doing. And now we actually want to exist in a way that is, more adult, more mature, but we want to actually have adult experiences with one another and actually grow as individuals. And not
that
just
doesn't
focus.
Involve look at how rich and successful I am and you're not, because I also see that with that age group as well.
That's very true.
Be human. I want to be human without being judged, and I want you to be human without fear of being judged. And yes, if your humanness is too much for me to handle, then it was nice meeting you, and vice versa. We don't have to force a relationship is what I'm saying. But that connection with the real one.
Yeah. Okay. That connection is, it's obviously necessary, especially for us, because a lot of us, the only family that we know are the family members that we've technically chosen. Your chosen family.
Yes.
So it is important to have those kinds of relationships, but that, as important as it is also is just as important to actually establish that, have some foundation with it, and it is not easy to find, and it does take a lot to build that. So it may just be that either they have not been able to build that yet with the people that are around them, or maybe they just haven't found those people yet. But it does take, even if you have found those people, it may not be for another 4, 5, 10 years before you actually get to that point with them, to where all of y'all are like, okay, I am done being this way. And people, I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. Same. Thank God. Okay. So it just takes being able to mature out of things and being able to grow out of mindsets. And I do feel like that is something that we are seeing happen at a much faster rate as we have access to things like Twitter, where people again are constantly putting up think pieces and their opinions around things, and you're constantly being able to experience what other people are essentially experiencing in 250 characters or less. I don't know however many it is, but you're seeing these experiences and you're getting to honestly learn what is important, what is not important, and just how life just kind of forces you, or how life should be forcing you, or how life should be forcing us as people, as a community of people, to take in and understand what is important, what can kind of be tossed to the side, what we need to mature out of, and what we need to be working toward building within ourselves and within one another, again, as a community of people. Because essentially, like, while yes, cis hetero people need to do all this work to make sure that they are not continuing to oppress us, so we also have to make sure that we are doing the work on our ends to not suppress one another. Stop trying to conform to cis heteronormativity, because that is also a thing with us. Some of us want to exist in a very straight way so bad, and that is something that I feel like we are maturing out of. And just like that mindset that this is how we need to, show up, and this is how we need to present ourselves, and this is how I want my friends to present themselves, and this is like, how I want my friend group to look, and things like that. Like, none of that is really important. If these people are feeding you on a spiritual and mental level, that should be the only thing that really truly matters.
And also being intelligent enough to recognize that as well.
Exactly. Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people are not intentional. Everyone is a work in progress, myself included. Like you said, I'm not the person I was 5 years ago, and hopefully I'll mature even better in 5 years from today, right? But I feel like one of the things that spearheads that is intentionality. Like, you have to be intentional in trying to morph into a better version of yourself.
Do nothing without intention.
Exactly.
Solange was trying to tell us, y'all.
Because if you free ball with no direction, you fall for anything. Like, when the wind comes, okay, the wind blows everything, child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Be all up in the air. So you have to strap it up, put a belt on and put a seatbelt on and drive with a purpose. But I know I'm using a lot of metaphors. If you know, you know. But but seriously, realistically, you just cannot. You cannot just walk without purpose and intention, because you fall for anything. Yeah. And to me, that's very dangerous. Because a lot of times, a lot of us already have that open that open gaping hole inside of us. Like emptiness. So
something that we haven't had fulfilled in our childhood.
Exactly.
That kind of work to do. Yeah.
This is why drugs is very high in our community. Suicide is high in our community.
Yes, God.
Mental health issues, HIV, and things like that, because we're using all of these vices to fill a void. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be intentional and finding the right people. Listen to the Spirit of God inside of you. If this is not right, you can love someone from afar. They don't necessarily need to cut them off, but love someone from afar.
But if you gotta cut them off,
light that bitch on fire. Okay? They say don't burn no bridges unless it can swim. Or no, don't burn no bridges unless it can walk on water. But if that bridge leads you to damnation, light that bitch on fire.
Grab your floaties, okay?
Child, you better learn how to swim. No, for real though. Yeah. So be as intentional as possible. To pick the right people for you, because we're growing. Yeah. Are you going to be an asset or a liability? There's people who are going to suck out all the energy from you. Yes. So are they feeding your spirit? Are they feeding your energy? Is this somebody this is also something I do a lot. When I meet somebody for the first time, like I think I talked about it on a previous episode, I usually scan them. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I always ask myself, is this family potential? Can I proudly introduce this person in 10, 20 years and say, I've known so and so for 20 years. This person, I can vouch for them. And to me, if the answer is no, and it's hard to know right away. Sometimes I could tell right away, but I try to give enough time, because you never know. But eventually, when the answer is no, I usually stay neutral. Do you understand what I'm saying? But that's because I am on something. I know how lonely it could be. Right. How heavy this life can be. Gotcha. And if I can have that family who can got me, you know what I'm saying, when I ain't got myself, that is a true blessing. Yeah. Not just the drinking and all that, and messy talk and things like that. Right. But anyway, we're coming to the end of today's episode. Before we leave, I do want to ask you, Chad.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh God.
So how was dating in Houston, Chad? How would you say?
You tell me. No, you tell me.
Lord.
No. No, I am loving. I am by myself.
Oh,
First of
okay.
all, I have too many plans to take care of, and not enough time to dedicate to building anything with somebody.
You said too many plans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that is going to be my excuse for the next 10 years, maybe, when I do decide that I am ready to get back out there. But as far as like, I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I have had the privilege
Okay.
of having some dope relationships with some beautiful men that have come to the close that they needed to come to when they needed to come to them. But other than that, I do feel like dating anywhere, Houston, Atlanta, New York, Arizona, like it doesn't matter where you are. I feel like we're living in such a struggle of a time right now. Like
Jesus,
everything is a struggle, including dating. And I honestly am not going to be like interested in doing any kind of dating until like I have worked through some things on a personal level. And I feel like
I like that. See, that takes a lot of intelligence, self-awareness, introspection, intentionality for you to look at yourself and be like, yeah, even I need to work on some things. Okay? Because a lot of people who want to be matched with the next dude on Tinder, you know, like they're broken up today, onto the next one tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, take a chair, sit down, and try to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What did you learn from that? Yeah. How could you be better prepared for the next relationship and things like that?
Yes. Get a therapist.
Like, and unfortunately, we also have those, you know, not we, Chad, because I'm not part of that, but some people have those friends that be like, yeah, you know, these niggas ain't shit. It's that nigga's fault, you know, things like that, you know.
I'm that friend.
I'm
kidding. I said I'm that friend.
No. You can be. Usually, I wouldn't fuck with you if you were that friend, Chad. But no, you know, like, and this goes back to what I'm saying: to invest your time in quality friends. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like people who would actually hear your breakup story and be like emotionally empathetic. You understand, and also advise you, give you constructive criticism. Like, hey, you rushed too quick.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you should go see a therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe you got mommy issues, daddy issues, things about your trauma that you have not healed.
Right.
And you felt like this dude would, you know, like you were compensating with him and things like that. You understand? So, you know, that's part of that, being intentional with family.
Yes.
You know, so I do appreciate the fact that you actually mentioned that, because I'm also doing the same thing as well.
Yeah, it's necessary. It's necessary if you want.
We all need to.
Yes. Like, not even just for the purpose of being in a relationship, but for the purpose of like, being one with yourself, because that is extremely important when coming into anything that's going to be a union. Because you also are going to have to understand that, like, in dealing with someone else, I'm also going to have to deal with that person's past, and what they come with, what they haven't worked through, what they have worked through, like what I haven't still worked through, because it's an endless thing.
Because at the end of the day, it don't matter how good looking they are on Facebook and Instagram, child. We know half them things to filter and cap. Okay, it doesn't matter how tall they are or how big whatever is, child. If you know, you know. One thing I've learned in physics is that entropy is inevitable, okay? Everything in the universe will come down south.
Yeah, gravity is a bitch.
Gravity is a motherfucking bitch, okay? So don't be capitalizing on you know what. Don't be capitalizing on face and skin and legs and body and thighs and whatever the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Invest in spirit. Invest in energy. Invest in mental health. Invest in connection deeper than physicality.
It is important.
You know what I'm saying? When you're not horny, is that somebody you would like to spend your time with? Is that somebody who arouses you intellectually? Is that somebody when they text you, they call you, like you get excited, not just because you're in love phase.
Right.
I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. Is that somebody you could be anywhere in the world and you remember like, yo, this person got me. You feel good instantly, and not just think about how good looking they are. Because again, it's not about all the Instagram followers and things like that. In my
surface
opinion.
level, yeah.
But anyway, this is the end of today's episode. We are way past 1 hour, Chad. I wasn't trying to make this too long.
Sorry.
But this is a very interesting conversation. I feel like I'm going to be talking about this in later episodes as well, because it's a much deep conversation that needs to be had. You know, sort of like Black issues. There's a lot of things about Black issues that needs to be unpacked. You know, same thing with the LGBTQ. There's a lot that needs to be unpacked. And thank you so much for coming today, discussing with me about the queer culture, Black homophobia, and the benefit of investing time and energy in intimate, deep, personal, bona fide relationships within the community that doesn't involve vices. There's nothing wrong with vices here and there, you know, like, you know, going out, partying once in a while is not wrong with that. Age appropriate, dress appropriate, things like that. Drinking a glass of wine and things like that, not a problem. Have a good time, let loose and things like that. You know, even having sex and things like that, ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's very important for you to be versatile in your group. You understand? Like, if they're always doing the exact same thing all the time, that's not my crew, in my opinion. I would like to be around people who challenge me to be better, because I really do want to be better. And because of that intentionality, I have pushed myself to who I am today. And there's still a shit ton of work to do, but I'm still intentional to navigate and persevere because there is still room for growth. You know, so thank you so much for giving your time. I know today's your off day, you know, so thanks so much.
This is dope, so thank you.
So thank you guys today for joining us on today's episode and Let's Talk About Us with Uche. If you agree with everything we've talked about, please share your thoughts down below. If you do not agree, please also share your thoughts down below. If you know any resources for LGBTQ people, especially geared towards people of color like Black people, please share down below. If you are familiar with having relationships, friendship relationships within the community that is very healthy, that is not in conformity with I guess the status quo, you know, like the cliche queer relationships, stereotypes, you know, if you have a healthy group of friends that is not just with the vices, like they actually come through for you. There's genuine love, genuine communication. It's not about the gossip, the messiness, the pettiness, and all of that. Please share it down below and explain to us how you were able to get there. What are some of the things that you had to work on? What are some of the things that you're currently working on? You know, again, the point of this particular episode is to educate all of us. Okay. I wish I knew what I know now when I was a kid, you know, and maybe this is what God put me in this world to do. You know, hopefully there's a younger version of me who will appreciate listening to this, you know, take something out of this and grow into an even better person than I am right now when they're my age. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs up if you don't like the video, share with your friends and family. Hit the subscribe button and do not forget to hit the bell notification so every time we upload a video, you'll be the absolute very first to be notified. Thank you so much. We are on Instagram at UC_images, and you are?
I am the number 7, THSON, the number 9, the number 2.
On Instagram as well. And Facebook is Let's Talk with Uche. Send me an email if you want at letstalkwithuche@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your continued support. Until next episode. Peace out.